always think so.
1 2 1 2, need my attitude. 3 4 3 4, check my latitude.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, I like that.
So I'm literally yawning as our like music is going. And you were laughing.
That's
what were you
okay.
laughing about?
I'm 100% sure that you guys all owe Sarah something of some sort because I almost karaoke'd our intro. It wasn't working and I started singing right as she got it to function.
Oh, was that what you were laughing about? I was like, I don't think people realize, but StreamYard, like we can talk before and after the intro, but when the intro is in, all we can see is this like little like square of each other. And so we can't actually speak. I don't think. I've never tried to talk during it, maybe.
We can chat, but we can't talk.
Okay. I am yawning, but it's because I'm still recovering from the weekend. So you would think that that meant Sarah went out and partied and did something, or I don't know. No, it was a graduation open house party. So my youngest graduated and we had a party and people came from Michigan, Minnesota, all over Illinois. And I know this isn't our topic of the day, but I just want to let people know I think graduation parties are a scam. Okay? And hear me all the way out. Because I have 2 older kids that graduated and I don't remember it being this way. So we spent almost, and this is not a brag, I need you to understand. I told somebody this from New York and they're like, that's cheap. And I wanted to like cry a little. So we spent a total of about $1,100 on this party between food and decorations and the actual place because our house isn't a size or capacity enough to have a party here. And so, and then he gets gifts. We don't get gifts. This is where the scam comes in. He gets gifts, not us.
Yeah, who do you think spent the past 18 years getting him here?
Right. And who spent $1,100 in the last month for this stupid party?
Yep.
So he did make out like a bandit.
But with that being said, he graduated, he put in the work, and that's kind of what our conversation is about.
Yeah. See, put in the work.
I can find all the segues, Sarah, all day long.
No, that's good. So our topic is it fits into that, right? You got to do all the boring crap, right? Like in order to graduate high school, you got to take, I'm going to go with the most boring class any of us have ever taken. And that excludes my partner, who's a historical nerd. Okay. But we all have to take government and econ, right? Or a version of that, whatever that government class is. And we all roll our eyes. However, it's necessary to understand life, right? And we don't realize that when we're in high school, right? All of that stuff kind of falls into real life. But you have to get through the boring stuff to do something exciting, like actually graduate and have a party where apparently your friends and family like you enough to give you gifts.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, the reason why we brought up this topic was because you were talking about your post. And when you're talking about your post, you're talking about, one, we had 2 things that we were coming around. We have to do work that we don't like to do and the work that we do like to do. But also when you're working with other people, how will they remember you? Will they remember you as the person that pulled your own weight, or will they remember you as the person that you pulled, that they pulled your weight? And in high school, it's the same way. Some teachers dread kids when they walk in the door because they're like, I gotta pass this kid, and drag them screaming, and then you have the other teachers who are like, oh, this kid's great in my class, and zoom, right? So it's a lot. And then in work, that's the same way. But even when we work by ourselves as business owners, that is a struggle. We have to schedule the things that we hate. We have to schedule to make sure that we maintain those times, because if you like posting and you are building the posts, right? But you don't like the posting part, then you're going to spend all the time over here and it's going to go down the drain because you didn't spend any time actually putting the work out to the people. And so that's where that, where that comes in with coworkers of, hey, I'll build the post if you'll post it, right? And so, yeah, they might be dragging you along because they're posting for you, but you're doing this weight, right? And so you can
Sure.
have conversations of, hey, I'm not that great over here, but I'm wonderful over here. Can we, trade? Now, if you're the person who's like, I ain't doing it. I ain't doing any part of it. I don't even have an idea. I have nothing to talk about.
I think you just hit your cat.
Well, she's getting mad because River's going outside. So
Oh.
now she's just getting all flustered and angry. But yeah, that's where that kind of comes in when you're working with other people as well as working with yourself. You have to figure out those in-betweens.
Well, and I think so one of the reasons this conversation came up was because somebody I know, it's not even like a direct like what I would consider a colleague, like another entrepreneur. It's just somebody like in my peripheral. They were complaining about how the majority of their job is boring and it's hard to, pay attention. Like only about 10% of their job is actually something they're interested in doing. And I'm sitting here like, you chose this career path. You know what I mean? And this person wasn't a coder, but I'm going to go back to like, I worked for this company called Hoist, and we had a lot of engineers who did coding. And sitting there typing code is not the exciting part, right? Like, it's probably flipping boring. But the exciting part is what you created when you hit, for lack of better terms, go, and you see it come to life, right? Yeah. So you have hours and hours of coding with, click publish or whatever go is, and you see it come to life. And as an entrepreneur, as even somebody are you getting ready to sneeze? Okay. I can tell like your eyes are like in your nose. But if they avoided the boring part, they would never get the exciting part. Do you get my point? And this person that I'm talking about was kind of like that. It was like, well, I don't want to do that part. It was all around fundraising. I don't want to do that part of fundraising. I just want to do like the big check presentations and the events and and I'm like, yeah, every fundraiser in the world would rather do that, where they just show up every day and accept $25,000 checks. Yay. Right?
I don't have to call you. I don't have to cold call anybody. Of course. I don't have to tell you why this is important.
Right. You don't have to do any of that, right? You just show up and get checked. And so I think that people don't truly realize, like in a regular business, maybe people realize I have to file, I have to sweep the floor in order to do the part of my job I like and or get a paycheck. But I don't think people truly realize that as an entrepreneur, right? And that's a lot about what we talk about is, especially solopreneur things, when you're building that, you are 100% of all the boring. You can't, when you're starting, you don't have the money to hire somebody to do the boring, right? Like you just got to do it. And yeah, what are your thoughts? I'm rambling, I think.
I'm right in her path. No, I think that it's really important, and it kind of, I know that depending on what you're looking at, sometimes, earlier you were like, you can't just do all these things and forget these things. And I know that there comes times where, depending on the situation, sometimes all of your energy is over here and you just don't have it over here, right?
Sure.
And in those cases, that takes teamwork. Your spouse, your partner, right? They can say, hey, I noticed that you're doing all this, but you're not over here. How can I help you, right? Even, dishes or whatever in the kitchen. Hey, I noticed that you've got a whole ton of laundry and you haven't touched the kitchen. Can I help you with the kitchen? or what is going on that you're not doing both, right? Like how can I help you? And granted, we shouldn't have to do all of it, but at the same time, if there's pieces that normally you do and you're missing them, those conversations are huge. I know that in the job that I work overnight, bathrooms and floors, a huge thing that needs to be done every shift. However, I am a single woman who works by myself at a night shift. I'm not locking myself in a bathroom while I'm cleaning it, right? I still have to maintain the store. I still gotta, I'm not
voluntarily or involuntarily, we're not locking the store. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not, if I lock the store, then nobody can come in just so I can clean the bathrooms. So it requires two people, right? However, I do a lot of things that on the back end otherwise might not be getting done, right? The cooler, the organizing, those things. And so when you look at the conversation of, hey, you're missing this, what do we need? Well, I need you to put somebody in an hour early so that I can go do that and not have to worry about customers, or I need you to schedule me an hour later so that I have overlap with someone so that these things are safe. And frankly, when I'm trying to mop a store and I help 20 customers in the time it takes me to get 5 feet, the most annoying, right? So you really want to look at how can we work this inside of what we're doing? How can we pull teamwork and structure to make sure, hey, we understand that this shift isn't doing this, but then also when somebody says, hey, that shift isn't doing that, to also be able to say, cool, when's the last time you were in the cooler? When's the last time you cleaned the trash cans? When's the last time you've done da 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 da, which are all getting done instead of these things. And I think that we forget that, or you know me, ADHD, I might just be happy in all of those worlds. And not over here because, like I said, safety, blah, blah, blah. I've cleaned plenty of bathrooms. I've cleaned our bathrooms, but when it's of a convenience of all of the things fall together, great. I'm more than willing to do it. And I think that when you're looking at businesses and you're looking at what you do, where is your struggle and how can you pull people to support you? Do you need to delegate it? Do you need, assistance from the spouse? Do you need a little bit of extra? Because sometimes as much as we want to do those things, we can't always get them done.
True. And I like your idea. Well, you made a comment earlier. I don't exactly remember what it was, but it triggered this thought about having a team. And I would be considered a solopreneur or a solo entrepreneur. It's just me, right? But that's pretty much a lie. You know what I'm saying? Because I do have people that I run things by, right? They may not actually do things for me per se, but they read things, they look at things, they review things. And having somebody that you can even just bounce ideas off of is helpful, right? You had said your bosses, they ask you sometimes, what do you need? And you're like, I need somebody for an overlap so that I can do some of the things that aren't safe, right? Even just having a person say, what do you need? Instead of just doing it. And I'll give an example. It's very funny. One of our arguments that my partner and I have is because I'll say something like, just leave it. I'll clean it in a little bit. And then I go downstairs, I do a few things. I come up an hour or two later to do it. And it's done. And I'm like, I told you right? And he's like, I don't understand why we're arguing because I wanted to help you. And I'm like, it's not necessarily helpful if you do something I didn't ask you to do. Right?
Or that I had in my head, I was going to do this.
Right. This is already in my plan. Right? Yeah. So ask me what I need. Don't just do something because you think that's what I need. Right? And so this is like not often. It's not like we argue. I need you guys to understand that. But
even, the argument of you did something to help.
Right. It's such a first world argument, right? I get that. But it's the concept though that you need help, right? But somebody in your life needs to ask you. So I'm going to flip this just a little bit and say, who's ever watching, because there is one person watching, and hopefully more people do watch. But if you are running around in life and you have people in your life that are starting new ventures, starting new things, even starting a new job, I don't care whatever it is they're starting, ask them what they need. And if they say nothing today, ask them again tomorrow, because they're lying to you. They just don't know what it is yet.
Well, and here's the thing too, right? Sometimes people don't believe that they need something, right?
Mhm.
What is something that you want? If you could have, if you had a magic wand and something was simpler, what would that be? Right? Or how could this be simpler? Sometimes when you use terms like need or different stuff like that, you trigger trauma, right?
Oh,
We're
yeah, that's
all
probably true.
raised as do it yourself, do it the best that you can, and never ever need anybody else to get it done. Or you've asked people and they've fallen through, they haven't been able to go through. So there's all kinds of things around the vocabulary. So if you're asking the same question and you're getting the same answer, you're getting resistance, try something different. What do you
And
want?
And I agree with that, because I'm gonna yesterday actually I was on a call, and I'm not, the person will know who they are probably if they watch this, but I'm not gonna name names. But somebody mentioned that like the question was like, what's a new thing that you're using or something that made your life easier? This person is not a spring chicken, okay? And this person is not technologically inept, okay? They very technologically forward, they've been in the business world for a hot minute, and they're like, yeah, I finally started using one of those scheduler things, Calendly. And I'm just sitting here like, and I realize, like, I don't like when people are like, hey, I'm having a hard time with things. Sometimes it's not even what can I do for you, it's what can I suggest as a tool
Yeah.
to help you fix that or to help you make it easier, right? And on the flip side, this was like 3 weeks ago, somebody was like, yeah, so I have this CRM thing, and I don't even really know what CRM stands for, but I never use it. And I'm like, I'm on a 5-minute call with this person. So I'm like, trying not to like have a see, why are you paying for it then? Right?
Right.
But I only had 5 minutes, so we're gonna set up another call. But it's very interesting how people, it's back to doing the boring stuff. If you're gonna do the boring stuff, CRM, scheduling, that's considered that boring, mundane stuff. Ask people around you about the tools that are available, right? If you have a CRM you never use, I'll find one that's easier for you, right? Like, go ahead.
Okay. So okay. So I'm
I went
gonna
down some
I'm gonna do
tangents,
a
but go
two.
ahead.
I know. No. I'm gonna do a two-person conversation because it's in my head, and I know I could throw it at you, and you would do it with me perfectly fine. But I'm gonna
Go ahead.
just do a two-person. So, ooh, hey, look. Okay, so the duck, right? This I don't. Okay, pig. Okay, pig says to duck, "How can I help you?" And duck says, "Oh, I don't need help. I'm fine. Whatever." But then pig notices that duck is aggravated. Pig says, what is aggravating? What is your struggle, right? Duck says, every time I try to make a schedule with somebody, every time I try to make an appointment with somebody, I have to go back and forth 20 times just to pick one time. So Pig says, cool, Calendly, or, your Google Calendar, or whatever all of these things are. And then Duck now understands, okay, well, I don't really know those things. Can we work together? So now you have, how can you help me? How can you support me? Right. And how can you get rid of some of those frustrations? And this is one of the things that you and I, Sarah, tell people all the time, because people who start businesses start without a Calendly, and Calendly is free. Like, don't start without a Calendly, because it is a 20-minute or a 2-hour or a 3-day adventure just to find one time block that could just simply be clicked on. So that's a great way of like, okay, I don't need your help because you can't book this conversation for me, right? I don't want your help because you don't know what I need or how long I need with this person. But at the same time, this is a frustration, and I could really use advice or suggestions on how to cut this time limit out, right? And also, if I have to spend 3 days booking somebody to just talk to them, I don't wanna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Why should I have to do that? And so I think that really does round out that conversation of why is this important, right? Why is it important to understand that you have to book those conversations so you can make those sales, right? You have to book those conversations so you can grow your network and have more people giving you ideas when you're struggling, or have more people pat you on the back when you're doing phenomenal. So I think that those things are all very, very important. And it's really important to be able to ask those different questions, because in that scenario, don't need help. You can't help me. Don't want the help because you can't help me. But yeah, suggestions to cut down this time would be phenomenal.
Yes, 100%. And I'm distracted a little bit because I was trying to figure out if this bee was on the inside or the outside of the window. It is on the outside. So
Nice.
yay for me. So I have a few comments on that. And yes, 100%. We need to ask better calls or better questions, right? We don't just need to like call things on our own and say like we know what's best for somebody. We need to ask what they want and what they need. And I like your idea of saying if you could have a magic wand, what would be one thing you'd want to fix? Because you never know what you can suggest to somebody. My bigger comment on what you just did though is next time I want individual voices. It was you need to step up the acting game just a little. Okay. So practice before the next time. I need a voice for the pig and a voice for the duck.
Oh,
Okay.
this is going to be trouble. You just
All right.
saved me from karaokeing.
You can karaoke if you want. I remember the words to songs when the music is playing, but I can't remember the music right now, like just to sing the song. So, but what is, just to give like what's the word I want? Personality, and that's not really what I want either, but what is a boring thing that you absolutely hate doing? Life, your entrepreneur business, your paid job, like, because we both have those, you know what I'm saying? What's something that you're just like, oh my God, if I never had to do this thing again, I wouldn't. Mine is laundry. Someday when I'm rich and famous, I am going to just be one of those people that somebody comes and picks up my laundry once a week and brings it back 2 days later and it's all done.
We have a group chat that I would love to not be a part of.
That could but honestly, doesn't it add a little entertainment sometimes?
Not right now. Right now, it just makes me want to be petty. But in all reality, I am that person who, when I'm working, I love to do it. But like I mentioned earlier, my ADHD allows me to hyper focus on different things. And so there's times when stuff gets forgotten. Like right now, the business is not being worked at all because my schedule is so shifty that I'm sleeping. If I'm not working the main job, I'm sleeping. And so there's a huge struggle for me right now with not even having my business as a part of my day to day. And so when I go to work, everything I do gets done, except for, like I said, it's not safe for me to go into a restroom where there's one way in and no way out. And so, and that was one of the things. But last night I kind of went into work and I went in very frustrated because I normally work the night shift and I have a very set, all of these things are what we were told as our night shift needs to be accomplished and completed. And I've had with the way the schedule is right now, I have 4 days off where I don't work nights, and I do I go in for some day activities to do truck and cooler and really just all of the stuff that has to do with just product, right? I just do rotation of product and stuff like that.
Right.
So when I go in, we have people who work on other things the rest of the time. And so I feel like I have to super clean and super make up for the fact that I was gone for 4 days, right?
Right.
And what I decided this morning really was I can either be frustrated because these things did not get followed through and kept up,
Yeah.
or I can know that it's my Tuesday, it's the beginning of my night shifts, and this is what's required for me to have my job done the way I want it. And so this morning, somebody had sent something in the group chat, and they were like, oh, I left a spray bottle by the sink, which is against OSHA. You should not be doing that. And my brain was, I did 100,000 things today. And if, as a team member, you can't simply put that under the sink, we have a problem. And that's kind of been the mentality at work lately, is we've got a lot of nitpicking. We've got a lot of nobody did this, or this is wrong, or whatever. And I think that that's why I loved the topic you picked, Sarah, because we can either be a team and just go in and understand that everybody's doing the best that they can in the situation that they're at. Therefore, we need to maintain where we can and understand simply, if somebody complains that I didn't do the bathroom, I know I have a list of things as to why I didn't get it done, right? So
Sure.
support yourself, stand in who you are, and understand that you might at times not be doing everything at 100%, but also you might be doing what's needed because nobody else has time to do that. And if that's where your hyper focus is, great, but their hyper focus is on something different. And there has to be a give and take of what does teamwork look like. While they're over there and I'm over here, it's okay that we might not cross paths all the time.
Sure. And something kind of just popped in my head when you were saying that is we have sometimes at least 2, if not 3 or 4 versions of our lives. And hear me out. Because, I have the family, I have a paying job, right? And then I have my consulting job, and then I have school, and I have these boxes, and I try to keep them all separate, right? But you can't. One is always going to take more attention than the other, whether it's for this 15 minutes or this 15 days, or you get my point. And you gotta let it happen. You have to do the bare minimum for the rest of them. Like, you can't just be like, well, I'm not paying bills this month because I gotta focus on this, right? No, you can't do that. But you can say, instead of doing, like I just did 4 buckets, instead of doing, oh, I'm going to try to do 25% on all of them for 100% of my energy. Okay, no, right? You still got to give each one of them 5 sometimes, because like I said, you can't not pay the bills. You've got to feed your children. There's laws on this stuff, right? But you got to say, okay, I'm going to put less over here for just today. Yep. Or I'm going to put less over here for this week, right? And that's okay, right?
Right, and I agree with you completely. And I think that's where this is one of your this is where you shine a lot better than I shine. Checklist, right?
If anybody wants to ask me about Claude, I have figured out Claude checklist. Go ahead.
Awesome. So with checklist, there's very specific things in a day. When you have children, they have to be up at a specific time. They either have to be fed or their lunch has to be made. They have to be out the door. They have to be in the door for wherever they're going. Then you can have like an 8-hour break if you have sufficient daycare. Then you can take a break from that. But then you have to go back and you have to pick them up. And then you have to get them home, and then there's snacks or there's sports, and then there's dinner, and then there's back to bed, bathing, and then back to bed. So there's a checklist of like 11 things in the day, minimally, that you have
To
to do.
not kill your children and follow laws, right?
Yeah, to not get
But if
sent
you
into
if you
social
get
service.
those 11 things done, sometimes it's okay if you don't read the story before bed.
Yeah.
It's okay if you miss the teacher's note that day and you read it, it's okay.
Exactly.
Trust me. I've been through 4 of these children. I'm joking, people. I love my children. Sometimes I don't like them. I love all of them. All right. But I've been through 4 of them. And if you miss the student take home folder thing, right? Life goes, there's never anything in there that's like, oh my God, the school's going to blow up tomorrow if you don't fill out this form. Really, it's not going to. And we have to start thinking about it like that, right? You have to be willing to do the mundane things, but it is okay if you're not doing everything 100% every day.
Yeah, and that's just the same as when you have an 8 to 5 job. When I train people to do the night shift, I train them, this is your checklist. As long as this checklist is completed, and these are kind of the better times to do it, I train them how to do those. And then I give them like, hey, if you're bored, something I do is I clean the doors of all the cabinets. Something I do is we do have to make sure that we clean the coffee hoppers. We need to make sure that we're filling this. And so I give them all those like extra tasks. But if you don't get it done, trust me, I will. So
there you go.
Just get your checklist done, because when your team comes in the morning, that checklist is actually what affects their day. And I think that when we're looking at it from that point of view of, did that checklist get accomplished? How does this look? We can kind of sidestep some of the other things, right? And yeah, some shifts have heavier checklists, some shifts have lighter ones, and they all do different things. And it's the same with our day-to-day. Sometimes Mondays are client days, and all we do is we chat with clients. And then on Tuesdays, we talk to nobody and we just do online work, right? So really look at, what are your checklists? What are the things that need to get done? And do not get upset if you can't go above and beyond some days.
I think that's a great ending to our little adventure this morning. We're a little over 30 minutes. Feel free to follow both of us on social media. Our company names are there. We're always on the wrong one somehow, but it's all right. I realize every time we get on here that I should switch the logo so they like are under us, but I don't think it really matters.
We have our names with our businesses in the thing.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I think people are pretty smart. They can figure it out. I want to know who the one person is that's watching us.
I don't know. I don't have anything fake up, but I can tell you, I've got the house set up to where I can do 3 live watches now.
Joy. So next week when we have 3 people watching, we know what's happening. All right. It was great. Everybody go follow us. If you don't know who we are, I'm Sarah with Off the Beaten Path Consulting. I do stuff. Go check out my website. Brittany,
and I'm
who are
Brittany.
you?
I'm Brittany with BizStorming, and I do other things.
Look at that. We are a pro this morning. All right. We will see y'all next week.
Have a great day, guys.
1 2 1 2, need my attitude. 3 4 3 4, check my latitude.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, I like that.